Cryptocurrently. Shivom is a genome data company that is collaborating with revolutionary changemakers in biotechnology, healthcare, and government-ordained research institutes to contribute to an unprecedented era of medical marvels. Shivom is aiming to be the largest genomic data hub on the planet, with contributors truly owning their genomic data with full control and access to it via the blockchain, all while receiving cryptocurrency-based rewards if they choose to share their data. Today, we are very happy to have on the show Henry Ines, who is the Chief Innovation Officer at Shivom. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to be with us here. Let's start at the very beginning. You're taking an aggressive approach towards eliminating the theft of biometric and genomic data from consumers. How did Shivom start? Where did the idea come from to combat the current medical and social infrastructure in that specific way?
There's been a lot of problems with the healthcare industry for a long time now. This is nothing new. You know, if you're looking at the major challenges, I mean, the drug discovery, right? It's a very lengthy process. It's expensive. A big part of a solution that we're tackling as well is that data has been very much siloed. So you've got a lot of proprietary formats and databases, none of which communicate with each other. So that really makes it very inefficient. Security has been obviously an ongoing problem, not just in healthcare, but really across all sectors. Given sort of the centralized posture of databases. And, you know, a big piece that's also sort of been a prevailing problem is lack of control, right, and access. I think patients still don't really have a good grasp on who has access to their information. And as you just mentioned, a lot of different organizations are monetizing on data. So I think that these are all just challenges that Shivom and really a lot of other players are interested in tackling right now. And at the same time, I think you've got a sort of an interesting point where economics costs of sequencing genomes has come down considerably. You know, when you're talking about whole genome sequencing and billions of dollars coming down to in the future sub 100. So, you know, so you've got these persistent problems. You've got much better economics, and then you've got this convergence of great technology, blockchain and AI to address some of these things. So I think with all of these different aspects coming together, it was just a really great juncture where companies like Shivom can really tackle healthcare and sort of usher in a new era for precision medicine. And so the co-founders basically had been thinking about this for some time, and you know, basically all came together around middle of last year roughly to kick off the project.
You're aiming to use research and development and personal data to create a comprehensive, easily accessible, and fast way to diagnose and deal with medical issues. Can you give us a simple explanation of this process?
Big piece of all of this equation is data, right? So with the more data you have, and again, this goes back to one of the earlier issues I mentioned, is that, you know, there's not a sufficient amount of data, you know, low data sets for broad variation in genomes. So you need a lot of data in order to have more precise, you know, clinical trials and studies. So what we're trying to do, and a big distinction between what we're doing versus a lot of the current players out there right now, is that by utilizing the blockchain architecture and various protocols, we're essentially going to be able to unlock sort of all this siloed data around the world. But the big piece is that as a donor or a contributor, or however you want to call it, you will have 100% control through crypto keys of your data. So that is the biggest distinction. So right now, if you get your saliva swab, you go get your genome sequenced, most parties right now essentially retain rights to your genomes, and they batch that and then they go monetize on that. So a big part of what we're doing to disrupt this business model is that if you get your direct-to-consumer genomic sequencing done through us, our platform, you will have retain full oversight over who has access to your genome. So if you want to donate your genomes, that's up to you. You can donate that to whatever study you want. If you want to monetize on it, let's say there's a clinical trial, a pharma can compensate you for your genome participation. So, I mean, again, it's sort of end to end. You want your employer to see it. You want insurance company to see it. You'll have full control over your data. So that's a very big distinction between what we're doing and a lot of the other players are right now. And so from a process perspective, once you get your genome sequenced, literally we would send you a saliva kit You send it back, we process it and get your genome sequence. We'll immediately be able to provide you with some insights on your health and obviously on any particular insights from your genomes. But then we will also have a big part of what we're doing at Shivom is assembling a very large, what we envision the largest sort of genomics counselors on the planet. So we'll have them sort of all plugged into one platform. And, just having the data itself, it's sort of meaningless because most people don't understand how to interpret it. So you're going to need genomic counselors to basically help you understand what all the feedback means. And from there, you can start to take action in terms of improving your wellness. And to that end, we'll also have third parties. Basically, they'll develop customized apps that will essentially just plug in on the platform. And so if you find out that you're predisposed to a certain ailment, you can utilize these third-party apps to help you better manage your health. Because that's what this is all about at the end of the day is getting insights and being much more proactive and better managing your health. So I would say then that really is, sort of the key of all this is that the data, obviously we encourage the data to get on the platform, and then everyone will get a choice as to how that data is going to be used, and then that data will then be used for everything from drug discovery, again, to your own personal insights.
With such a diverse concept and platform, Shivom can actually influence industry outside of your immediate focus. Insurance is one such industry you could rattle. Do you think you could have a positive influence on something like insurance premiums?
We do believe that at some juncture, perhaps employers will subsidize employees because why? They want to make sure that the wellness perspective, right, that their employees are healthy. But also healthier employees probably means lower insurance premiums, right? So there's a real economic benefit for employers to subsidize employees in terms of getting their genome sequenced. But there's another part in the sense that you and I need to have full control over our genomes, because perhaps maybe there's something there that might discourage an employer from hiring you, right? So you really want to make sure that you've got full control over that information, and you determine who can have that visibility into your genomes, whether that be insurance companies or employers.
Shivom is getting good response in the press, particularly heading to several exhibits and blockchain conferences. What are some of the more interesting responses you've been getting from people on your platform?
The team is crisscrossing the planet, right? We're all over the place, roadshow, conferences, you name it. And what's amazing is, and you notice from being in the space, is that you can get down to the weeds pretty quickly on the technical part when you're talking about crypto, the different protocols, and you're talking use cases and the technology itself. And some people get it to different degrees, right? But when you talk about healthcare, everybody gets it, right? Healthcare is such a personal issue, and one of the greatest things anecdotally that we get along the way is people, they'll ask questions about the technology, the platform, the use case, the typical questions. But then as the discussions go on and they really start to understand how powerful the platform can be and what we're trying to build, I mean, they start to talk about their own personal issues, or perhaps maybe it's somebody in their family that's suffering from a certain disease or their own diagnosis or ailments that they're dealing with. And they say, hey, if we participate in your platform, what are the benefits? Is this something that can be actionable for my next of kin? Or maybe, my mother is suffering from this disease. I'd really like to, from a philanthropic perspective, social perspective, to support research in this area, right? So we get a lot of personal stories and anecdotes that come from all of this. And so it's beyond just the technology and is it a good business case. People really see the value of the impact that can happen from this kind of a project and platform. So that's been really, really great. And a lot of the other part I would say is just a sort of educational in the sense that most people have reservations about getting their genome sequenced, and a lot of it is, as you mentioned, is because they know that they lack control over their data. There's data privacy concerns. You see, databases getting hacked all the time, right? So just generally speaking, people are very concerned about getting their genome sequenced and what the implications are. So we educate people a lot in the sense that what blockchain means in terms of the level of security, the enhanced security that they're going to get out of all this. And then when we tell them that you've got crypto keys that can essentially control, who has access and how you can donate or monetize your genomes, or all of that's your decision, people start to really get it. They understand that now people go from I don't want to do this to, hey, that's great, let me know when your platform is going to be available, I'd love to get my genome sequenced. So it's really a function of getting people comfortable with taking that leap of faith and getting their genome sequenced and knowing that it's going to be secure.
Once Shivom has aggregated enough data, you're going to be unleashing the Shivom app marketplace. Give me a little insight into that and its functionality.
Our goal is to create the world's largest genomics data hub and healthcare services platform on the blockchain. So by virtue of that, once we have a critical mass, a good amount of people who have their genome sequenced, there's going to be a tremendous amount of insights available. And people, once they learn about their genomes, there are going to be a lot of actionable insights. So people are going to want to better manage their healthcare. And so, one part of that will be having access to genomic counselors, which is going to help them to understand the results of their sequencing. But then another part is going to be, hey, so how do I manage my health on a day-to-day perspective? And so we really see a lot of interest, and this is going to be a key part of our strategy, is to onboard third-party vendors, third-party developers that can, essentially upload and have their own customized app solutions for anybody on our data hub. So if you're predisposed to diabetes or maybe it's certain cancer or asthma, something like that, app developers can essentially upload their own apps and can monetize on those apps with the what we anticipate to be a huge community on our platform.
Henry, thanks again for being with us here. My last question for you is going to be, what's next for Shivom? What are you guys doing in the near future? And if you have any far-ranging plans that you might want to tell everybody about.
Yeah, so in the near term, obviously we're focused on concluding our crowd sale and the ICO. And thereafter, we'll be focused on completing the first cut of the platform. And we anticipate sort of by, say, Q3-ish that we'll start to the genome sequencing process. And, certainly after that, we'll, as the platform develops, we'll start to, onboard the rest of the solutions that we envision. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the platform itself, the omics token, which is the OMIX is the name of our token. That'll sort of be the fuel, for the platform, and really any transaction that is done on the platform will require the use of our token. So any products or services is going to require the token. And we also even imagine a scenario where people may donate tokens as well. The people, maybe their need of medical service, that can be an option. So basically, bottom line, all the services and products, anything that happens on our platform will require the use of our omics token. And in the future, it's genomics is only one part of it. This we envision to be sort of a end-to-end healthcare services platform. So, we imagine one day where, doctors are probably playing a very different role than what they are today. And the fact that you've got a tremendous amount of data at your fingertips, it's going to not only provide you tremendous insights, but again, you're going to move towards a much more proactive management of your healthcare. And our platform will be sort of the key destination to where people go in terms of getting insights and getting services to manage their health.
Henry, thanks again for being with us. I very much appreciate it. The information has been fantastic. Again, this is Henry Ines, the Chief Innovation Officer at Shivom. You can find all of their links and their social media in the description of this video below. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to follow Cryptocurrently on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Steemit. I'm Eric with Cryptocurrently. Check out the rest of our videos. You guys have a fantastic day.